Hey guys, so I'm going to explain what I explained to the class on Thursday. So for now, just copy down what you remember how to do. Some of you guys might not remember how to do this little bar thing or the parentheses or the square. Don't worry about it. I'll show you how to do it all. So what's most important for you to copy right now is the x values, the y values, and the sum. And please copy it the way I did because I'm going to be referring to cells by like their name. Like for example, this is cell B2. So I'm going to refer to this as B2, not 25, and it's going to get all confusing maybe, so it's easier just to do it like that. And also highlight the sum column because I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I get confused when there's all these numbers and I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing and not mixing the sum with the values. So to highlight the sum, you just see the little white arrow, you just drag it out to the ones you want to highlight, and then you click this and it will fill it. And if you want to change the fill color, you just click the little arrow next to the paint bucket and you can pick whatever color you want. So yeah, pause the video and give yourself a chance to do all that. The first thing we're going to be doing is the sum of the x values and the sum of the y values. So to do this, you go to the Home tab, then you go to Auto Sum here, and you click the arrow next to Auto Sum, and you click Sum. And here it's a sum of cells B2 to B5, and that is exactly what we want, so we click Enter. And to get the sum of the y values, instead of going through all that clicking again, we can just check the cross here, make sure it's not like this or like this, it's like this. And you just drag it over to the next cell and it will add it all together. And if you're not sure if the formula is right, you can always just click on it, and if you click on it up here, it will outline where the numbers were added together. And we know this sum is right because if we were to do it by hand, we would have done 89 plus 125 plus 150 plus 180. And that's what this formula is saying. It's saying it's starting from cell C2 and ending at cell C5, and the colon means like through. So cell C2 is here and C5 is here, so it's adding together everything in this box. So the next thing we're going to do is x times y. So to do this, whenever you write a formula by hand in Excel, you always have to start with the equal sign. So we're putting in our equal sign, and then we're going to select the first cell we want to multiply, which in this case, it's going to be cell B2, or the number 25. So it gets outlined when it's been selected. So after this, we're going to press and hold the shift button and press the 8 to get an asterisk, which you're going to see on your keyboard. And this asterisk means multiplication. And now we're going to select the second box that we want to multiply, which in this case is C2, or the number 89. So once we have our formula set, we just click Enter. And now instead of having to put the equal sign for each of this and going through all that, we can again just copy the formula through by getting our skinny little cross and dragging it down. And we're not trying to multiply the two sums together, so we can just leave that be. So this should be the answers that you get, and if you want to make sure your formula is right, again you just click and we can see it's multiplying cell B3 and C3. And if you need more visualization, you can always click on the formula up here and it will show you in blue and green or whatever colors it chooses to show you on your computer. So now we're going to do x minus the mean of x, which is what this bar means. And if you don't remember how to write this, I'll show you right now. So you just write what you need to write in the cell. So here we're going to do x minus x, and we're going to stop right there. And we're going to go to the Insert tab, go all the way down to Symbol, and go to Normal Text. Make sure it's at Normal Text. And the subset is Combining Diacritical Marks. The symbol we're looking for is this one, which is Combining Overline. Character code is 0305 from Unicode, and make sure you click the right set if you want to find it, like with the number, because there's three different sets that you can pick from, and you don't want to pick from the wrong set because then you might get the wrong symbol. So then you click insert and it inserts it for you, and you just close it. So if you didn't do this before, I would take a minute, pause the video, and insert it in. Okay, so let's find the mean. We go to the home, and then we go to auto sum, but you don't click auto sum, you click the little arrow next to it, and you go to average. So now, without clicking anything, we see let's look at the range that they highlighted, or the formula itself. So the formula says B2 to B7. But we're not trying to go this far because we don't want to include the sum of all of the values in our average, because then we'll get the wrong number. So to fix this, we just press and hold starting at cell B2. Don't let go of your mouse and drag it to B5. And now we can see that our average is B2 to B5. And if you want to manually write it, you can, but don't use well, actually, no, forget that I said that. Okay, so if you want to manually write it, you just do B2 and the colon, which can be done by shift and the button next to the L, and then write B5. And that's the answer you should get. And if you want the visualization, you click it here and it will outline which numbers it averaged up, so we know it's right. So now pause it for a second and see if you know how to find the average of the y values. So if you went through and did it again, I'm going to do it right now to see if you did it right. So you go to auto sum, average, and it tries to find the average of B8, but we don't want the average of the x values because we got that already. So you click and hold and drag down, and then you click enter, and that should be the answer you got. So now we can move on to x minus the average or mean of x. So we start with the equal sign, because you always start with the equal sign if you're handwriting anything in Excel. You select the first cell that you want to subtract from. So we select the x value because that's what's first in the formula. You hit the minus key and you select the mean of x next. Sorry for this background sound, by the way. My mom armed the alarm system from her phone, so you select this, and you can see it's gonna do B2 minus B8, and then you click enter. And now we want to copy the formula over here, so we get our skinny cross and copy it over. But if you look at the values, they start to look wrong. Like, we know 30 minus 28.75 is not 30. So why is it wrong? Well, let's look and investigate. If you click here, you can see that instead of subtracting from B8, it's subtracted from B9. And here it's subtracted from B10. Here it's subtracted from B11. So to fix that problem, you have to, let me not click while it's selected. So to fix that problem, you have to click the original cell, and you have to put a $sign in front of the letter B in B8 and the number 8 in B8. And we do this because the $signs mean that it's not going to change the second value. So it will always subtract from B8 no matter what the starting cell is. So now we're going to drag this new formula across, and the answers are correct. And if you want to double check, look at the formula, and it stays at B8, but it still goes to B3. Here it does go to B4, but it stays at B8. And then here it does the same thing. So now take your hand at it, pause the video, and try it for y minus the mean of y. Okay, so let's see if you got the right answer. So what you have to do is equal sign, because you always start with that. Start with cell C2 minus, and if you tried putting in the $ first but got an error, sometimes Excel doesn't let you do it before you click on it. So first click on cell B9 because that's where our mean of y is located, and then you can then you can go back and insert your $, and then click enter. So now we know that this should be 47, and then we can go through, drag it across, and those should be the answers that you get. So now we're going to do x minus the mean of x and square it. And if you don't remember how to do this, I'll show you right now. Okay, so personally I'm very lazy, so instead of going through the symbol thing again, I just like to copy it and paste it into here. And then to insert your parentheses, you go back to the beginning, click the shift button, press and hold it, and then push the 9, and that will make your open parentheses. And you go here, press and hold the shift button, press the 0, and that makes your closed parentheses. And to make the little caret thing, you press and hold the shift and press the number 6, and then for the 2 you just press the number 2. And then it's the same concept for y minus the mean of y squared. So if you didn't do that, pause the video, go back and do that now. Okay, so now we're going to do x minus the mean of x and square it. Now, if you look, we already did x minus the mean of x, so the only thing we're going to have to do is square the values in column E. So to do this, first we hit the equal sign, and then we click E2, or the first value you have for x minus the mean of x. And then you're going to do shift and the number 6 to do the caret, and then you're going to just hit the number 2. And this, some calculators have it, others don't, but if you see it on your calculator, when you square, it's also this little caret, so that's basically what it is. And now if you hit enter, you get that value squared, and if you don't trust Excel, you can check your calculator. So pause it for a minute and think about what you'd have to do for the rest of these, and also in the H column, the y minus the mean of y squared. Okay, so if you didn't figure it out, basically you just drag it down, or if you just want to check your answers, and that's what you should get. And again, if you don't trust this, just click it and you can see that it selected this to square. Oh, sorry, it's a bad habit. I need to stop doing that. Yeah, guys, don't click other cells while your cell is active, because then you'll be adding things to your formula. If you want to deselect your cell, just click enter. And this, squared this, and this, squared this. So for y minus the mean of y squared, it's basically the same concept. You hit the equal sign, then you click the first cell, in our case it's F2, you press and hold the shift, and you press the number 6, and you hit the number 2, and then you just drag it down, and those should be the values that you get. And before we move on to excuse me, calculating these values, we're going to have to find the sum of everything in the D column, x times y, everything in the G column, which is x minus the mean of x squared, and everything in the H column, which is y minus the mean of y squared. So in order to do this, well, okay, pause the video and see if you remember. It's okay if you don't. I'll show you how to do it in detail for x, y, but I'm not really going to explain it for this or this. So to find the sum, you can either go ahead and drag it from here because that's the formula, or you can go through auto sum on the home tab, click this and click sum, and it will tell you that it's this, and then you click enter. And we don't really need the sum of this or this, but because I'm lazy and I don't want to go through the clicking again, it's fine. Or if it really bothers you, you can delete it by just pressing the little delete button on top of the backspace button on your keyboard. So now, before we move on to solving for these to get our final goal, which is R, I just want to explain each of these formulas really quick, because otherwise the way we're solving it will be kind of confusing and you won't understand the point of going through all this. So for the formula for R, it's s of xy divided by s of x times s of y. So to find s of x, it's the summation of x minus the mean of x squared, all divided by n. So we know that n is the number of values like in your set, and here we have 4. Like n is like because these are technically like coordinates, so it would be 4. So it would be all over 4. This e, or summation, means you add together the answers you get for whatever follows it. So here we have x minus the mean of x squared. So that gives you 4 results that we have here. And when it has this e, or summation, in front of it, that means you add those 4 results together, which is why we found the sum for it. So that's why we did that part. And the same is for the s of y, except you use the y. And then this s of xy is the summation of x times y, which we did right here in column D, which is this value. And then we subtract it from the summation of x divided by n times the summation of y divided by n, which we did here and here. This is the summation of x, and this is the summation of y. So that's why we did all that, so that way you have each of the steps to do it, and I think that'll also help you when you're doing it by hand if you do everything else, so that way when you're working with the formulas, all you have to do is plug in the numbers because you already have all of the work shown. So to find s of x, this is I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see the formula. Here, I'll move it up. I'll move it right here so that way you can see it while we're doing it. So, ooh, sorry, that's a lot. I have a feeling that it'll help if you can kind of see it while we're doing it. So you hit the equal sign, and then you type the letters. It can be uppercase or lowercase. S, Q, R, T. And it shows up here. That means square root. That's the formula for it. And then you hit shift and the number 9 for an open parentheses. And so we need the summation of x minus the mean of x squared. So we have that right here in cell G6. So we just click that, and then we click the little kind of division thing, which is right next to the shift button to the left of it. And then we type in our n value, which here it's going to be 4. And then we press and hold the shift and click the number 0, or press the number 0, because it's to close the parentheses so your equation is complete. And then you hit enter, and that should be the result you get for s of x. So now pause the video and think for a second how you're going to do s of y. I'll move the s of y formula up so that way you'll visualize it. so you might be able to figure it out or understand it easier. So pause the video here and see if you can do it. Okay, so for s of y, you have to hit the equal sign, then type the letters S, Q, R, T, and it'll be right here, and it tells you here, returns the square root of a number. Then shift number 9, and then you click this, because that's this here added together. So this is the summation of y minus the mean of y squared. Then you hit the little button next to the shift, to the left of the shift, and then you type in 4 because that's your end value. Then you close the parentheses by hitting shift and the number 0. Then you hit enter, and that should be the answer that you get. Okay, I'm gonna move up the formula for s of xy, and I want you to take a moment, pause the video, look at it, and see if you can figure it out. Okay, so for s of xy, we're going to start with our equal sign, and then I like to do parentheses because I like everything to be nice and clean and no risk of messing up the formula. So we need the summation of xy, so that's right here because this is all of the xy values and this is it added together. And we're going to divide it by our end value, which is 4 because there are 4 numbers in this set. Then you close the parentheses, and then you hit the minus sign, and then you open parentheses again, and summation of x is all of the x values added together, which we have here, and it's divided by the end value, so you hit the key next to the shift button and divide it by 4, and then you do shift, press and hold the shift, push 8 to make your asterisk, which is the same as the multiplication sign, and then you need the summation of y, which is here in cell C6, and then you hit the key again next to the shift button, and you divide that by 4, which is our end value, and then shift 0 closes your parentheses. And then if you hit enter, that should be the answer that you get. So now I'm going to move up the formula for r. Okay, so this is our formula for r. And I want you to take a moment and see if you can figure it out. Okay, so for the formula for r, we're going to basically do what it asks us to do here, which is s of xy. So first you start with that equal sign, and then you hit the column, you click the column where it's s of xy, which is, in this case, is B12. And then you click the division sign, which is the key next to the shift. You press and hold the shift and hold the 9, which does the open parentheses, and then you hit the s of x, which is B10. You press and hold the shift and hit the number 8 to do the multiplication sign, and then you click s of y, which is B11, press and hold the shift, hold the 0 to close the multiplication, the parentheses, and then you hit enter. And that should be the value that you get for r. So now we're finished. Yay, we found the r value. And yes, it might seem a little tedious here, but on our IA, Mr. Yes said that they're going to give us a lot of different numbers, like a lot of values. So it's going to be a lot faster when you do it like this. Even if you're doing it all out, it will ensure that you don't make mistakes. And who really wants to do this for 200 numbers by hand? Because I know I don't. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. A lot of you guys have my number, and you can also message me on Facebook. I'll reply, and I'm happy to help. Okay, thanks for watching.